When I left school, I went to college and I studied electrical and electronic engineering for 2 years. Now, that didn't work out, it didn't lead to a career for me, and I ended up in IT instead. However, it did spark a hobby and an interest in me that's lasted ever since. Over the last few years, with the emergence of easy to use microprocessors like the Arduino series and arguably the Raspberry Pi, it's made it so much easier for people to get in and be DIY enthusiasts. So recently I've started getting back into it myself, and it seems that the thing to do nowadays is make little videos like these about your projects and stuff. So here's my first one. I'm going to go through what I've done so far and what my plans are, what my projects are. So most of the projects are all based around home automation in some form or another. I use some software that's set up on a Raspberry Pi that controls various devices around the house, interfaces with Alexa as well, so that I can control various bits with my voice. I've got items like this, which is a Z-Wave motion sensor, a PIR, and these things are quite expensive. They can cost anything up to 50 quid each, and obviously I didn't pay 50 quid for this, but that's quite a lot. There's cheaper versions around. This one is same kind of thing again. It's a Z-Wave PIR. It also comes with temperature sensing and light sensing and a few other things as well. They're slightly cheaper, but they're still not cheap. So the first project that I've actually taken on and completed is, and this is it on the breadboard here, it is an Arduino PIR. So this thing here is the Arduino. It's based on the ESP8266 chip, which comes with built-in Wi-Fi, USB programmable, and I've set it up on this little bit of breadboard here. This little doobry there is the PIR itself. I'm not sure if you can really see it properly, but there's an LED on there that shows the status. This thing is the light detector. It's LDR, light dependent resistor, and this thing measures humidity and temperature. That's a DHT22. I'll put a link to the software that the Arduino runs. But basically, you plug in a power supply, it connects to your Wi-Fi. Every time it detects an event on the PIR, it sends a message to a message queue that my home automation software picks up, and it sets the status of its own internal representation of the PIR depending on the message it's just received. Really simple, very, very simple to set up. I started off with just the LED, made that flash. Then I added in the PIR. The breadboard makes it really easy to patch everything together. This particular Arduino has, I think, it has at least 10 digital I/O pins, and they can all be set to I/O apart from D0. I think that's input only. And it's also got somewhere this one down here with the red pin. It's also got analog in. It's got a built-in ADC to convert that to digital signal. The rest of the wires are just for power. So that's the PIR. Some of the other projects that I've got on the go are I want to try and make a low power door and window sensor so that I can detect when the outside gate's being left open. I want to try and make an athlete monitoring system. Again, with the price of these sensors, by the way, I bought all these things off AliExpress, which is a Chinese wholesaler for these things. The Arduino itself, £2.20, and the rest of the components. The LEDs were something like £1 for 10. The LDR and the DHT module were both less than £1 each. The most expensive thing on here was the wires. So you can see how cheap and accessible it is. With that in mind, as I was just saying, I want to try and build one of those athlete monitoring systems that the footballers and rugby players and everybody wears in their vests. I want to try and make one of those to mainly measure heart rate, but also GPS for positioning, a couple of accelerometers so we can work out how much time they spend running and how much time they spend accelerating, the rate of acceleration, things like that. And then the big project, the daddy, I want to build my own robot lawnmower. I don't think it'll be too difficult. There's plenty of kits out there I could buy, but I want to have a go at doing it myself. So to that end, I'm going to build a little prototype first, a little Arduino controlled robot that'll poodle around and act like a lawnmower, just without the razor blades on the bottom. So that's an outline of what I'm going to do. The other thing that seems to be a trend amongst these kind of videos is, I guess it's the electronics version of an unboxing video. So I've got some parcels that I've saved up. I'm gonna open them now. We can see what's in them. This one came from Amazon, and it is basically a bunch of stuff for finishing off the LED strips that I've put in the kitchen. I'm going to do a separate video on all the different components of my home automation system, so we'll come to that in another video. But basically what I've done is it's Wi-Fi controlled strip lights linked up to the PIR that's in the kitchen, and so when you walk into the room it switches all the lights on. And I've got some wire to strip connectors so that I could connect up the rest of the LED strip, which looks like this. It's about 20 quid I think for 10 meters off Amazon, which I didn't think was too bad. Basically it's rubberized, and you can cut it so that you can cut into strips of 3 LEDs. So that's the LED strip. Basically these connectors that I've got are for connecting the end of the LED strip. You shove that in there to the wire like this. So it'll all become clear on the other video, but that'll be in a couple of weeks, no doubt. Okay, that's cool. What else have I got? Put that away. Russell. So this is a package that's coming from what's it called? AliExpress. Let's see what I've got. Okay, this is another DHT22 that I bought from AliExpress, but it's taken that long to get here that I actually ordered another one, and the one that I ordered second has arrived first. So this has taken well over the advertised time to get here. As you can see, everything comes pre-assembled onto a little PCB. You can see the pins there. You just slot those into the breadboard when you're prototyping. Very, very easy. If we go on the back, let's just see a little capacitor or resistor in there. That's about it. Okay, cool. There it comes with some more wires. Very good, very nice. Finally, I've got this, which I think, by the size of it, is yes, it is the container I bought to go with the outdoor sensor for the gate. Kids are forever leaving it open when they've been out there playing in the garden, so I bought one of these to hopefully house the sensor and the batteries, keep it nice and waterproof. So there you go, that's the sensor. There's a bit of rubber there going on the outside. Keep it waterproof. Some holes in the bottom I might be able to make use of for screwing stuff in. So the little Arduino will sit inside there. So the Arduino will sit inside there. I have one here. This is a D1 Mini. It's the same idea. It's based on a similar chip. It's compatible with the larger one that I just showed you. So that'll sit in there. I've got some little reed switches as well, which are little magnet operated switches. Little magnet operated switches. I don't know if you can see inside there, if it'll focus. There's two, there are two pins there, and there, two little legs, and depending on where the magnet is in proximity or not, one of those two pins is high and the other's low, and you use that to detect whether the magnet's there. So you attach the magnet to the door, put the reed switch up against the side of the box, and then when the gate's open you get a signal. Again, it'll be very, very similar to the PIR, except instead of having the PIR to trigger it and send a signal through, it'll be the reed switch that triggers it and sends a signal through. All pretty cool. I'm just putting my stuff away and then I don't lose it in my box of bits. So that's it for this video. Nothing else to open, nothing else to show you. Come back in a couple of weeks and we'll hopefully have a video all about my home automation system. Thanks very much for watching. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll put some links to all the different things, links to AliExpress and links to where I bought the various things from in the comments down below. Thanks very much for watching.